if you're new in the US and you decide to live in Los Angeles, how much is your potential earning and how much are you going to be spending, the minimum spend? So this is a good question, and it was sent by several people already. In the last several months, I finally got around to it. Okay, so let us assume some things, and this is also an assumption based on the questions that were sent. One is that you're new in the US and you decide to live in LA. LA is one of the most expensive cities in the US. There are far cheaper cities in the US. But if you decide to live here, so let's assume that. Second is that you come here without a job and you're just going to try to get a job, maybe a family petition or something. So the assumption is that you're going to get a job, but it is going to be most likely entry level. So unless you have like a professional license, like an engineer or a nurse, that will afford you a higher paying job. If not, then you're gonna have to settle for the minimum wage. So the minimum wage is 15 if you get into a company that has 25 employees or more. If the company has 24 employees or less, then it is $14. So that is assumed that you're gonna get $15 per hour. And that will be if the assumption is that there are 4 weeks in a year. There's actually 2 more paydays in a year, but let's assume that there are 2 weeks in a month. What I was saying is that there are 2 more months where there are actually 3 paydays. Okay, but let's just assume and not account for that. Let's just assume that you're gonna get paid that there are 4 weeks in a month. So that'll be $2,400 a month. Okay, $2,400 is your gross pay, no deductions yet. So what are your expenses? The minimum that you're going to be spending for is rent, phone, food, car insurance, health insurance, and gas. Okay, rent. We are going to assume that you're not living with your family and that you just need to rent out a room. You can actually get a room, like share the entire house and just rent a room. That's the cheapest way to get a room here in Los Angeles. Now, the cheapest one is that if you're sharing the room with somebody else. I don't know if you're that kind of a person. If you're okay to do that, then go ahead and do that. Now, let's assume that it is $800. That's actually very cheap already. And let's assume that in that $800, that already includes utilities. And so that's electricity, gas, water, and garbage collection. So all of those things. So let's assume that all utilities are covered, Wi-Fi. Okay, so $800. If you get that kind of a deal, go grab it. That's very, very good. Okay, next is phone. So because you're new, let's assume that you're gonna get like an actual unit. And of course the line, that's gonna be like $100 or less, but let's assume it's $100. And then food, $75 per week. Which is not a whole lot, actually. That's just okay. It's not too much, it's not too little. Okay, so $75 a month, and so that'll be $300 in a week. Okay, and then car, you do need a car in Los Angeles. You can take the bus, and I did for the first 2 years of my life here in LA. I was actually taking the bus, and it was okay. I was able to do it. But the thing is that the public transportation system in LA is not as efficient as that of New York, states like that. The entire state was designed to be a car state, so you do need a car. It's very inefficient because it's usually ×4. The travel time is ×4. So if it'll take you 10 minutes to go from one place to another using a car, it'll take you so ×4, 40 minutes if you take the public transportation. I'm not kidding. That's just how it is. Now, it comes with a lot of things. So you get limited, if you want to further your career, you always have to take Uber to go from one place to another. So if you want to get 2 jobs, so you have to get 2 offices that are close to each other so that it's more efficient for you to go from one work to another. Or suffer the travel time, the inefficient travel time that you're gonna get because you're taking public transportation. Okay, so I would recommend getting a car. I think the advantage for me of not having a car in the first 2 years is it just made me appreciate having a car now. It's just at that time it wasn't a huge deal for me, because in the Philippines traffic was so bad. So I felt like no matter how bad LA is, it's not going to shock me because I came from a place with really bad traffic, which is Manila. And I was right. It's just that LA is no contest. It's no contest. I mean, between Manila and LA, Manila will take the cake when it comes to traffic. But still, because of the limitation that I had to put up with because I didn't have a car, it just felt that it just wasn't worth it. Okay, so because you have a car, you do need a car insurance. So let's assume it's about 125, because I would recommend getting a comprehensive car insurance. And then you do need a health insurance when you're new and your company is small. There's a lot of companies here who are not offering health insurance. So let's just assume that you get I would recommend getting a really good health insurance. So you probably will be spending about $300 a year. And I would recommend getting a really good insurance, because I can speak from experience just how helpful that is. I remember the first time I experienced really a pain I can't bear because of my gallstones. So I rushed myself to the emergency, and I think so they performed all of these examinations and blah blah blah, and I spent, after that, the bill, which I didn't have to pay because I had insurance, the bill was about 5,000, I think. They did all of those ECG, just make sure that I was okay. And so I thought, if this was on my dollar, I won't be able to pay for it, or I'll be paying for it for the next 2 years, which is not worth it. Okay, so health insurance about 300, and then of course gas. It's very expensive here. So let us just assume that you're not really going to the office every day, or it's just close by. And so let's assume you're just getting you're spending about $100 on gas every month. Now, my car is a RAV4, and I work from home, so I only go to the office once a week. And then my other commute would be when I take my dog to the dog park, which is about 3 miles from here. And other things would be when I just need to go to the grocery. Other than that, I pretty much stay home. And my full tank is about 60. And I do that 3 times a week. Or twice a week. Sorry, not a week, month. So 2 to 3 times a month. But let's just assume that you, as I've said, that you don't really go anywhere else other than occasional meeting with friends and then your work, then $100. Let's assume that. So all in all, that's $1,925. Okay, that's not bad. But remember, you are going to get deducted taxes, Medicare, Medicaid, all those other deductions. And let's just assume that the deduction is $500. So now your total expenses would be $2,425. And remember, if you're earning $15 per hour, you need your gross would be $2,400. So you are short. You're short. My dog wants to participate in my blog. Okay, so this guy, now in the computation that I presented to you, I actually didn't include a whole lot of other expenses. For example, I have a dog. So my dog, actually, I spend about $250 on my dog on a monthly basis because he does have insurance. I got an insurance for him, and then I need to get his pillow. Okay, so I spend about $250 on him because he has insurance. Outside of that, he is very picky when it comes to his food. So I buy him I spend about $15 to $20 worth of chicken every week for him. But then I do buy toppings because, as I've said, he's very picky. If I feed him something in the morning, I can feed that to him in the afternoon. That's how picky he is. So, and then what else? Treats. Grooming. I groom him myself, but then I'm very bad at it. As you can see, I actually groomed him, and that's how he looks like. So I do take him once every 2 months. Sometimes I need to get a sitter for him if I need to take him to the daycare, dog daycare. Just in case if I need to be away for more than a day, then I take him to daycare. Other than that, you need to account for investments. I would suggest that you invest as early as you can. I think that's one of the best things I've ever done, is to start an investment fund very early. I think on the second year I was here, my second employer actually sort of nagged me into actually getting an individual retirement account. I got one just so he would shut up about it, and then later on I realized, my God, that was one of the best decisions I've ever done. So I would recommend getting setting aside some money for investments. So I'm also doing cryptocurrencies and stocks. Next is you need some emergency fund. I put away a certain amount. It's not a whole lot. It's $250 actually every payday, just to have something aside, just in case I really need some cash. It's rare that you will need cash here, but just in case I will need it, then I set aside something. Okay, and then of course, some for rest and for recreation. I mean, you would probably need to meet your friends, shop here and there, just for necessities like underwear, stuff like that. So you do need some funds for that. So emergency fund, and for your family, if you're going to give somebody a gift, I send home some money regularly to my family back in the Philippines. So I do need to account for that. And I also shop for stuff here to send back home, just as gifts. For Filipinos out there, how Filipinos love stuff from here. So like quarterly, I would send a box or two back home, and then, so that's, of course, that costs something, right? So those are my extra expenses. And those are the ones that I would recommend that you set aside money for. And I think the $15 an hour would not be enough for you. So it's very common here to have two jobs. I do have two jobs, and I don't regret it. I love what I'm doing. I think I was just lucky that I managed to find a job that I actually enjoy, so it doesn't feel like I'm working. So I do have two jobs. I do not consider YouTube as my job because I don't earn a whole lot here. So I have an actual second job. So yeah, that's I think that's what I would recommend you do when you're new here. Just get a second job, and of course, don't forget to relax, to treat yourself every now and then. I don't spend a whole lot when it comes to recreation. I like hiking. So if I'm feeling stressed or I just want to get out of this place, I just go hike. Sometimes I drive around with my dog, and then I buy coffee here and there. Boba, there's this thing, a popular thing here, it's called boba. So milk tea, and then there's boba in it. Or jelly, it's actually jelly. So yeah, so every now and then I buy one for myself, and that would be like my luxurious spend. But other than that, I don't spend a whole lot on other things. But I hope that helps if you're going to move here in the US. I hope that helps. I would really highly recommend getting a second job, or if you're lucky, find a job that would be high paying enough to cover for all of your basic necessities. And as I've said, if you're going to be here and if you're going to be new, good luck. Hit me up and maybe we can have a chat or two about things in Los Angeles. Thanks.